I've just given the ponies some hay. You'd think that over the course of a week that I'd probably need to feed them roughly the same amount of hay. Oh, Poppy says sneeze. But interestingly enough, it's been really hot recently and really dry. And then over the last 4 or 5 days it's been really warm, and we've had quite a lot of rain here, which is very welcome for all the farmers and grass growers and veg growers and whatever. So that rain and the warm sunshine means that the grass, although there's not a lot of grass on here, for very good reason with these ponies, but the grass that is here has been growing at a rapid rate of knots. So this morning, when I was just getting the hay, I thought, I've noticed they've been getting a little bit on the podgy side. So I've been thinking, they've I'm probably being a bit too generous with the hay. So this morning I thought, I'm going to really cut it back, especially as it's been raining over the last few days and it's been warm, so the grass has been growing. Whereas the grass wasn't growing before because it was so dry, so they needed the hay. And they follow me like they haven't been fed in days when I bring the hay. I bring it out in a wheelbarrow and I have to watch myself because there's argy-bargies about who's going to eat the hay first and who hasn't had a bite and one thing and another. And I've actually brought it over to the far end of the paddock, so they actually have to walk right from the far end back to the gate to get their water, to try and get some steps in for them, to try and get some weight off them. So I'm at the hay shed this morning. I've probably given them 1/3 to 1/2 of what I have been giving them in hay. And interestingly, when I came through the gate, I wasn't immediately bombarded with little ponies trying to snatch and grab a bit of hay before I'd put it down on the field. So that tells me that my thinking was right, that they don't need quite as much hay. And also, funnily enough, they hang around at the gate mainly because I think they're a bit bored of trying to find grass where there isn't a lot of grass on the field, or they have been recently. They haven't been at the gate as much. Don't get me wrong, they're a bit like children. They'll always eat stuff if you give it to them. My job is to make sure that they get the right amount, which sometimes is more and sometimes is less. And at the moment, with the grass just absolutely growing bonkers, they're telling me that they don't need as much. Well, that's what I'm gathering from what I can see. So obviously I need to monitor it, but whilst it's warm and we have rain, I think the hay consumption, or the hay that I'm going to give them, is going to be dropped dramatically. And I'll just see how it goes. One thing you can't do is leave them with nothing to eat. Now I know there's grass on this paddock, because even the small amount of grass that I'm giving them, they're obviously they wolf that down in about, an hour, and they get that twice a day, and then the rest of the time they must eat, because otherwise they'd be scrawny. And as you can see, they're not what you describe as scrawny. It's such a hard one. And if you've listened to my other videos, you'll know that Demi, the bigger of those white ones over there, with his tail to us, he's hardly got any teeth. So actually I need to make sure that he has plenty of hay, because he can't eat this short grass. It looks like he's eating and nibbling, but he doesn't actually take much in because his teeth don't work. So actually most days he goes on the winter paddock, which has got really long grass on it. It's been left to grow. So it's got really long grass, so I know he can eat that. So they're quite happy. Oh, here's Miss Tess. She's the one I've got to watch for heavy weights. She always looks chunky. But she's just one of those. She'll always find something to eat. She's always the first at the wheelbarrow when they bring the hay in, and she'll kick everybody away from the hay. So she's carrying a little bit too much weight. I mean, the idea is that they all make hay while the sun shines. Literally, they put on weight in the summer, and naturally they're designed to have a bit of extra weight going into the winter, so when there's no grass growing in the winter they can afford to lose a bit of weight. But obviously when we can keep them in a domesticated environment and we manage their feed, you know, they really don't need to be that, you know, carry too much weight in the summer. Tess is a little bit too heavy at the moment. She's always chunky, but I'd like her to be a little bit lighter. So as I say, I put the hay over here, so they have to walk to get to the water. And I've dropped the hay to try and maintain their weight, drop it a little bit. So there we go. That's feeding in the summer. It's never easy, and it can change from day to day. And in the winter when it's frosty, we have another problem where if it's really frosty they shouldn't go on it, because the grass is then full of sugars. So it shouldn't really let these little ones out on frosty grass until the frost is gone. But that's for a discussion on another day. That's winter feeding. This is just summer feeding. Okay, bye for now.